and water was trickling down the windows, the broken windows. And it was like saying, wait, come and help me. I helped you when you needed education. The rock foundation that this building is sitting on is acquainted with the rock foundation of your education. Help me. And I kept praying, and when the right time came, the door opened, and now we're here. I'm Bettie Young, and I live here in Pipestem. I actually live on True Road, about 3.5 miles from this wonderful school that we've decided to salvage from being on the dilapidated building list of Summers County and bring it back to life for the enjoyment of our friends, our tourists, our county, and our state. And we're very excited about this. This school building was built in 1878. The original was an old one-room log building. My understanding from talking with the folks in the community, they told me that it burned, and that the second one-room school was built in 1900, and it was just a lap-sided wood building that, it looked great for the time, but it outgrew itself quickly with the students. In 1922, they came and added 2 rooms to that one-room school, and the porch, the front porch out front. And then more children, of course, was able to come. More community activities were able to be held, pie suppers, cake walks, etc., for the old times that were. And so, as I say, we're very excited. We are about 2/3 of the way finished with our renovation. We are looking forward to getting it open very soon, as we would like the fall and wintertime Winterfest, Waterfest that comes. We want folks to come here and enjoy with us the simplicity of yesteryear. You know, old school buildings are exceptional. I went to school in the 50s, started in the 50s at Riverview School in downtown Hinton. And I went to, ironically, the same school that my mother went to when she was a little girl, even had some of the same teachers. And I learned very young that good friends are found and made at school. And good schools offer good opportunities for good friends. Our education, our lifestyle, where we go from here to there, how to love one another and respect each other. And you can't beat it. You absolutely can't beat it.
You said, you went to school in Hinton.
I did.
Was it in a one-room schoolhouse?
No, it was not. It was a 4-room schoolhouse. And we had 1st through 6th grade. You had 1st and 2nd, 2nd, 3rd, 3rd and 4th, 4th and 5th, and all that. But it was a 4-room schoolhouse. And it's still standing as well.
Were there any, around that time, were there still any one-room schoolhouses active, or by that point, that was kind of relegated to history by that point?
Yes, even here in Pipestem, my understanding and history shows that at one time, there were 32 one-room schools here in Pipestem District. And as they began to close down, etc., the children came here. And some of the schools may only have 3 or 4 kids. And so it would be easy to just keep, and then that's why the school kept growing. The school now had, let me see, 3, 4, 5, 6 classrooms, a kitchen, so it kept growing and growing. But on True Road alone, my understanding is that there was probably 11 one-room schools here on True Road, and that's exciting. It's very inviting. Sad to say that history, those of us that are a little older really were taught by our parents and our teachers in school to love our country, to preserve what's here, and we took good care of it. But we see so much of it now just being torn down and taken away. On this road in particular, there's still a schoolhouse that was at one time a small school, and it's been turned into a dwelling, a beautiful home. There's several of those in this area. But we have a very unique situation here, very unique. We have the Little Jordan's Chapel around the road. And Little Jordan's, I think it's around 170 years old. It was one of the many one-room schools at one time. So we're excited about that. And as we have growth and it goes, we plan to shuttle get a bus and shuttle folks, give them our history year, let them tour this beautiful museum that we have, take part in our activities, but shuttle them around the road and give them the history of that precious little one-room school. Behind us is a beautiful, waterfalls. It's called Pipestem Falls. And as you drive down by Route 20, I invite you, whether it be spring, winter, summer, or fall, stop and look at that.
You mentioned the way that you were raised and educated, and, love your country and to take care of things. How do you think that's impacted like your desire to want to restore this?
100%. Let me say this. I live, as I said, 3.5 miles around the road. My husband and I attend a church out the road this direction. Driving by, and for over 20 years, it bothered me. And I kept saying, Lord, I'd like to try to do something to save that school. And I prayed and I prayed, and I really did. And one Sunday, I'll never forget it. It had been so balmy and rainy, and it was just bad weather, and sad, made you sad, and we was going home from church, and I looked up at the school, and water was trickling down the windows, the broken windows, and it was like saying, wait, come and help me. I helped you when you needed education. The rock foundation that this building is sitting on is acquainted with the rock foundation of your education. Help me. And I kept praying, and when the right time came, the door opened, and now we're here.
What do you think the significance of the one-room schoolhouse has been in Appalachia and maybe even America more broadly?
The one-room schools was like going home. They treated the children just like they were their own. Well, not necessarily me, because I didn't attend one, although a farm I used to own had one. You were taught to love one another and everything, and that family feelings and that family love came to school with you, and it had tremendous power. It had tremendous, we learned to respect what we had. We realized what we didn't have. The folks that I've talked to, as I said, that are still living, many of them are in their 90s here, and they'd say, my best times were there. And I got my education of reading, writing, and arithmetic, they called it, because it was based on God, country, man, and family. It was. That was the teachings even. I know when I started to Riverview School, every morning we pledged allegiance to the flag. Every morning we said the Lord's Prayer. Every morning my first grade teacher read from the Bible, usually Psalms, the book of Psalms, verses to us children, to keep us growing and enlightened, keep our memories going of, hey, this is how I'm supposed to act and react. It had tremendous, tremendous effect on everybody.
Do you think that getting away from that, I mean, I guess it was maybe inevitable just due to the population growth, but I don't know, like, do you have any thoughts or comments on how it's changed?
Let's take it through my era of time, 50s and 60s, graduated high school in 66. Let's take it to that era of time. That one-room school, love, affect, teaching, respect, and all of that went to the 4 rooms, the 6 rooms, the high school. We carried it with us all the way through. So there was no mistake there, and we look back on it as sorrow for where we are now, because we actually were taught, and I won't.
Do you have a background in education? Were you a teacher?
I was never a teacher. But I came from a large family. Lots of brothers and a sister and lots of cousins and neighbors, and we all knew each other. And I grew up in the West End of Hinton, and I knew when I walked to church, I walked to school, or I walked to my parents' business place uptown, I better behave myself. My parents knew everyone in every house. Everyone in every house knew my parents, and that's the way we were. That's the way it was. And it's just had a great bearing on my life. And I taught it to my children. I tried to teach and help it with my grandchildren, and it works.
Yeah. It
works.
And you kind of expressed earlier just the vision you have for this place to bless the local community, but this might be seen by a wide audience.
Oh, it will be.
And so why is this important? I mean, like, why are you doing it, and what is something that somebody watching this, maybe from Tennessee or heck, even, I don't know, New York, why should we remember this part of our past?
This part of our past, not only the building, but the location. You know, this may sound a little whatever, but I can walk outside. There's bear, black bear. We have the wild animals everywhere. I have had the privilege and the honor, I consider it, to stand within 6 feet of 2 mating bald eagles one time, and I filmed them for about 30 minutes taking care of getting stuff for their young. It's still here. It's still virgin country. And our thoughts, our ideas, the grandma's recipes that were used at the old cook stoves, which, by the way, I'm going to have one of them here. It just brings you home to yesteryear. And it can't get any better. As we were speaking about tourists, etc., you would be surprised that every day I'm here in this building that the number of tourists from the park from all over America come and say, can I come inside and look at that old school? And they'll start talking about, I didn't go to school here, but you'll see tears. You'll hear the husband and wife conversing with one another. Hey, I wrote you a note. Did your mom see it? You know, that kind of, it's a blessing. And we're excited to share that. Bring back yesteryear and the memories. We're excited.
I really like how you said that the one-room schoolhouse that went with us through the multi-room schoolhouse, through the junior high, the high school.
Yes.
It's like it is a really special thing. Tragically, I think that's lost for a lot of people in a lot of communities, but I could certainly see how that could shape a whole culture.
It does.
And it
does.
Shape generations.
It does. It absolutely does. As I told you before, when I went to Riverview School my first day, my mother also attended that school, somewhat 18, 19 years previous. And that culture still carries here. Believe me, it does. We used to share eggs or trade eggs or butter and all that. That still happens in this community right here. My folks come around, my husband is now deceased, and they'll say, hey, I have a garden this year and I know you don't. How about me giving you some of this? A lady will come by and she'll say, I like your flowers. My grandma said, don't you ever receive or give a flower to anyone and tell them thank you. And I said, why, Grandma? She says, it won't grow. So the old culture is here. You know, it's wonderful. You know, grade school years when I was a child, and as well as my mother and father, we were all poor in this area, very poor, but we didn't know that. We didn't know that. We had love and guidance at home. Our teachers loved us. We had best friends at school. How many of us girls went to school with old feed sack dresses? Their moms took the feed sack from the animal, you know, their corn, whatever, and made us clothing out of it. How many boys went to school that their pants had gotten short by the end of the year and they're 6 inches too short? All of us. We were on the same level. I have friends that I do my class reunions, and my friends still come here, and we sit and spend hours talking about our life and what it has done for us in our current day. It's just great. You just can't undo those memories. Yeah. And they're not just what you thought they were. We actually lived it. Yeah. Actually.
Did you ever move away? Have you lived here?
I lived, and my husband and I, when we married, we moved to Cleveland, Ohio. And we were there, he was there 10 years, and I was there about 9.5. And he never was happy there. And I had different jobs and was doing well, and he was doing okay too. And he kept wanting to come home. And one day I had prayed and prayed, and I told him, I said, Stacy, listen, take our little 3-year-old with you. You guys go to West Virginia, you do what you need to do, and our son and I will follow. Well, that didn't happen until she turned 5, 2 years later, and they came down, and he was excited, and the Lord worked it out. First person looked at the house, we sold it, and we came home, and I immediately started looking for land nowhere else but Pipestem. This is where he grew up. This was his stomping grounds, and it was a different life there, a different life, but it was a lesson. You got a lesson. But you know, it was so sweet because I took the culture with me from West Virginia there. Now, I won't lie to you, they'd laugh at my dialect and that kind of stuff. But this old West Virginia girl went from 1 in 6 months to number 1 in the corporation, and it was because of my background here. It's true. It's a different world. But
different work ethic.
Oh, it was a different work ethic, and you just hard times. You know, you were used to it here. The big city, no one cares. There was no one that really cares. You know, so I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would not.
What was your husband? Was he in factory work?
Factory, yes, he worked factory. Yes, he also was a singer. He was a singer, and not because that I'm saying it, but everybody around will vouch to this. He was one of the best you ever heard, and but he just was never ever happy there. So we came home to his home, and I love it, and I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Yeah.
I would not.
Huh. That's awesome.
You can't buy my little 42-acre farm out the road. There's no price tag on it. Too many memories and too much love. Yes.
Huh. So what do you think about this place? You said it was the first one-room schoolhouse here was when?
In 1878.
And then the current form of it was built when?
The first 2 front rooms out front were the porches, and you come up the front entrance. It was built in 1900. Then they added rooms on from 1922 on. They just kept adding rooms because, of course, the population of children coming here grew, and they had to have more room. So, yes. They had well water. They, of course, didn't have city water. Of course, we haven't had city water very long here ourselves, but they had well water and that type of thing. Yes.
What's your time frame? When do you think it might be?
In my heart, I want to have it open by September 1, but it's taking a lot of prayer and an awful lot of hard work. We'll see. We're really shooting for that, though. But it's moving well, and I have a unique little story here to tell you real quickly. A lady gave me an old pump organ. It was also 1878 when it was made, so it coincides with this one-room school thing, but we will have it on display here in the school, and we're proud of that. But our neighbors are calling me and saying, Bonnie, what can I give? Now, there is one thing that I am looking forward to and have been asking folks. If you, your child, your grandfolks, whatever, went to school here, great. You're part of the school family. Send me a picture of you. Send me an old pencil, send me an old shirt, an old baseball, anything you have, and write me a one-page little story of your experiences or the most fun you had or who your best friend was. Just give me your story here, because it will be displayed as permanent at the honorary hall in this building. It will be history, so folks that come to visit will say, hey, look what so-and-so did.
What would folks know this by, who might be watching? Would it have had a name, or?
It is the pipe stem. We are calling it, just for short name, for the folks that come, we're calling it the Pipe Stem School Museum and Activities Center, because the other is quite long, you know. But
what would the old name have been?
It was Pipe Stem Elementary School, and this used to be a flagship school. Now, I'm not real abreast on a whole lot of that, but we still have the original old school sign down at the drive, and it shows that clearly. That was the flagship school. Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Dawn. Well, is there anything, I mean, we haven't talked about with regards to this place or your story, why you're doing it, or, I mean, have we, like we...
As I said, number one for me, it became personal, more so when my husband died, I think maybe, because I knew how much he loved to go to school here. And he would drive by and say, boy, I did such and such here, such and such there. So that ties it to my heartstrings. And it's hard not to shed tears when I get to that point. And the folks that are coming to visit already are excited that they can come home. And we're going to have the pie suppers. We're going to have the old-fashioned cakewalks. We're going to have the quilting bees and things to bring people home to where they left their memories, made their memories, shared their memories with their friends. We're going to do it. And we're excited. And we just want everyone to come. As you know, Summers County now, we are also in the National Park System. And that just makes it all the better, because folks from all over the country will be aware of us. And as they travel and see the beautiful lake and the rivers around us and the old creeks and cabins here and there, then they can come here and say, hey, and we're going to have country meals so they can come and just make their finale here.
Maybe a little banjo picking or something?
Oh yes, we'll have banjo picking, gospel music. We're excited about this little idea. On the first and third Saturday mornings, we're going to have Kiddies Day. And we have the old-fashioned Bambi and all those little movies, and we're going to feed them hot dogs, and we got all kinds of games and little prizes. Just bring it and draw them here. Let our community have a place to come to that they can enjoy activities of all kinds and associate and communicate with one another again. When we lost our country schools and consolidation happened, America began to fall apart because we were not communicating with one another. We weren't visiting in the same manner. We just lost. But we're going to bring that nostalgia back here.